Meet John, a hard-working husband who's been at the same factory job for 15 years. But what happens when life throws him a curveball he isn't ready for? Today's story is about secrets, surprises, and finding hope when things get tough. Before we dive in, we'd love to know, where are you watching from? Drop it in the comments so we can bring you more stories that connect with you. Oh, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It's free, and it makes sure you never miss what's coming next. All right, let's get into the story. It was a cold Monday morning in a small town in Ohio. John stood in front of the bathroom mirror, tying his faded blue tie. He was 38, with short brown hair and tired eyes that showed years of hard work. Downstairs, his wife Lisa was in the kitchen packing a lunch for their 10-year-old son, Ethan. She hummed a little tune, her dark hair pulled back in a ponytail. They'd been married 12 years and life wasn't fancy, but it was steady. Or so Lisa thought. John grabbed his jacket, kissed Lisa on the cheek, and said, "See you tonight." She smiled and replied, "Have a good day at the factory." He nodded, stepped outside, and got into his old pickup truck. But here's the thing. John wasn't going to the factory. He hadn't been for 2 months. See the factory where John worked making car parts, brought in new machines, like shiny robots that didn't need breaks or paychecks? One day, his boss called him into the office and said, "Sorry, John, we don't need as many people anymore." Just like that, 15 years of sweat and early mornings were gone. John didn't tell Lisa he couldn't. She worried about money enough already. The mortgage, Ethan's school supplies, the leaky roof they couldn't afford to fix. So, every day, he left the house like nothing had changed. Instead of the factory, John drove to the public library. He'd sit there with a free coffee, scrolling job websites on an old computer. He applied to dozens of places, warehouses, delivery jobs, even a gas station, but nothing stuck. At 5 p.m., he'd drive home, put on a tired smile, and tell Lisa about his day at work. She'd ask simple things like, "How'd it go?" And he'd say, "Same old, same old." It killed him inside. But he thought he was protecting her. One Saturday, everything changed. Lisa was cleaning out John's truck. She liked keeping things tidy and found a crumpled library receipt in the glove box. It was dated a Tuesday, 10 a.m., when John was supposed to be at the factory. She frowned, her stomach twisting. Why was he at the library? Was he hiding something? She didn't want to think the worst, but doubt crept in. That night, after Ethan went to bed, Lisa sat John down at the kitchen table. She held the receipt in her hand and said, "John, what's this?" Her voice was calm, but her eyes were sharp. John froze. He tried to laugh it off. "Oh, just stopped by the library on lunch." But Lisa wasn't buying it. "Lunch? At 10 in the morning? Tell me the truth, John." Her tone got harder, and he could see the worry on her face. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "All right, Lisa, I lost my job 2 months ago. The factory brought in machines, and they let me go." Her mouth dropped. "Open. 2 months," she said, her voice rising. "You've been lying to me for 2 months?" John looked down at the table. "I didn't want you to panic. I've been looking for work every day. I didn't know how to tell you." Lisa stood up, pacing the small kitchen. "You didn't know how to tell me? John, I'm your wife. We're supposed to figure this out together. Do you know how stupid I feel right now?" Tears welled up in her eyes. "What about the bills? The house? What are we going to do?" John tried to reach for her hand, but she pulled away. "I was trying to fix it," he said quietly. "I didn't want you to carry this too." For the next few days, things were cold between them. Lisa barely spoke to John. She was hurt, angry that he'd kept her in the dark. She started checking their bank account. Realizing how tight things were getting, John kept going to the library, but now it felt pointless. He'd messed up and he didn't know how to make it right. Then one afternoon, something shifted. John was at the library when a guy sitting next to him, Mike, struck up a conversation. Mike was older, maybe 50, with a friendly smile. "Looking for work?" Mike asked, nodding at John's screen. John nodded. "Yeah, been tough." Mike said, "I might know something." My buddy runs a trucking company. They need drivers. You got a license? John did. He'd driven forklifts at the factory for years. Mike gave him a number and said, "Tell him I sent you." John called that day. The trucking company was real, a small outfit delivering groceries across the state. The owner, a gruff guy named Tom, said, "Can you start training next week? Pays decent, and we need reliable people." John couldn't believe it. He said yes on the spot. That night, he came home with a plan. He waited until Ethan was asleep, then sat Lisa down again. "I need to tell you something," he said. She crossed her arms, expecting more bad news. But John smiled, a real smile this time. "Got a job. Trucking. It's not the factory, but it's steady. I start training next week, and after a month, the pay's better than before." He paused. "I've been taking classes to online at the library, working on a commercial license to surprise you. I wanted to fix this myself, but I was wrong." "To hide it? I'm sorry, Lisa." Lisa stared at him, her anger softening. "You've been doing all that?" she asked. John nodded. "I just wanted us to be okay." She took a deep breath, then sat beside him. "You should have told me," she said. "But I get it. You were scared. I was too." She put her hand on his. "No more secrets, okay?" John squeezed her hand back. "No more secrets." A month later, John was driving his first route. Paychecks started coming, and Lisa even helped him study for his license test. They weren't rich, but they were together, really together. And that was enough. So that was the story of John and Lisa, a couple who faced a tough lie, but found their way back to trust. What did you think? Should John have told her sooner? Let us know in the comments. If this story hit home for you, please hit that subscribe button. It's free for you, but it helps us a ton to keep bringing you more. Thanks for watching, have a good day, and we'll see you in the next one.